always easy. The city demanded the right to appoint its own mayor in 1193, and in 1194 they did not accept the imposition of the coroner system, their two sheriffs carrying out these functions in the city and the county of Middlesex. At a distance of over 800 years, it is unclear how the jurisdiction of the coroner of the Verge, around which this Crowner John story revolves, clashed with these other entrenched interests, but it seems likely that he did not have an easy time. The coroner of the Verge dealt with all cases within a 12-mile radius of the court, wherever that might be on its frequent procession around England. Later, this office became known as the Coroner to the Royal Household, which in very recent times came into the public eye in relation to the controversial inquest into the death of Princess Diana. Any attempt to use oldie-worldy dialogue in a novel of this early period would be as inaccurate as it would be futile, for in the late 12th century most people would have spoken early Middle English, quite incomprehensible to us today. The ruling classes would have used Norman French, while the language of the church and virtually all writing was Latin. Few people could read and write, literacy being virtually confined to the few people who were clerics in holy orders. Only a minority of these clerics were ordained, bishops, priests, and deacons, most being in minor orders, unable to celebrate Mass, take confessions, and give absolutions. These were clerks, lectors, subdeacons, and doorkeepers, and there were even more lay brothers who performed the menial work of religious institutions. All the names of characters in the book are authentic, who are either actual historical persons or taken from the court rolls of the period. The only money in circulation would have been the silver penny, apart from a few foreign gold coins known as bezants. The average wage of a working man was about 2 pence per day, and coins were cut into halves and quarters for small purchases. A pound was 240 pence, 100p, and a mark 160 pence, 66p. But these were nominal accounting terms, not actual currency.
Chapter 1, in which Crowner John loses a corpse. Not half as good as Mary's, but it will have to do us for now, grunted John de Wolfe, looking down into a wooden bowl in which a few lumps of meat floated in a pallid stew. Across the small table, Gwyn of Polruan was already slurping his food from a horn spoon, alternately dipping a hunk of barley bread into the liquid. "It's not too bad, Crowner. At least it's piping hot, though I don't know that we need that on a day like this." He stopped eating momentarily to take a deep swallow from a quart pot of ale and wiped the sweat from his brow with the back of his hand. It was just past noon, and the sun was at its highest, pouring down its stifling radiance on the lower valley of the Thames. "I wonder what my wife's doing now," he added pensively. "Pouring better ale than this for her customers in the bush, no doubt." His comment emphasized the nostalgic mood that both men were in at that moment. Though they were sitting in a relatively decent house in Westminster, their thoughts were a couple of 100 miles away. Sir John was contemplating his old dog in Exeter, his mistress in Dawlish, and his former mistress, now decamped back to her home in South Wales. Given the food situation, he also had thoughts to spare for his excellent cook Mary, who had once been another of his paramours. The only person for whom he had no nostalgia was his wife Matilda, who was sulking in self-imposed exile in a Devonshire convent. "Still, I'm glad we're out of that bloody palace," persisted the big Cornishman. "The airs and greases of that lot got right up my nose." John grunted, his favourite form of response. "Thomas seems to enjoy it, though he always loved being with all those damned clerks and priests. But I agree it's easier being in our own dwelling." He had rented the cottage